Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name is Lucas, and today I stumbled upon this really beautiful website called Clay.Earth. It has really nice, animations and effects and really nice overall design, very clean, different styles. So if we were to go, for example, here, it's going to be black with a different type of navbar, so dark mode navbar. So it switches between light mode and dark mode depending on the different pages. It also has really nice hero animations, just like this one, which I think would be another good video to show another day of how to do these types of animations. But basically what I want to do today is I want to rebuild their navbar using Framer. So I totally think this is possible. It starts off with this little bubble up here, and you have these different points. This last one just, doesn't have any drop down. So we have one component with this text that's gray, and then if you hover over it, it's black. And then we have different variants for this particular navbar. For the releases, we have all of these, and these are like nested components over here. Also with this, as you can see, and nested components over here. And if you were to zoom in carefully, these icons also kind of they're also interactive. If you hover over them, these dotted points, they get darker. So it's a really, really nice, clean design. And like I said before, if we go to one of these dark pages, the navbar turns dark. And we can also do that with Framer by adding a dark mode variant to our dark pages. So let's get started with building this navbar. So as I open Framer, I have a new page over here. My home page is going to be this light mode, as you can see here. And then I have a second page down here called dark. It's going to be color-coded 14, 14, 14. And what we want to do first is we want to first add the different viewports. So we have from desktop to mobile. That's good. And I want to do that same thing with the other page. I just do this as a standard every time I open a new project because it's so important to design responsive these days. And if you just want to build something and then at the end do the responsive, you're just doubling the work. It's best to do it in the very beginning. So what I want to do is I want to go back to Chrome. I want to take a screenshot of this main navbar. So we can do that and bring it back to Framer. Whoops. Bring it back to Framer. Let's put it up here. And then I'm going to take a screenshot of every variant. So Framer, boom. So this is going to be V1. This will be V2. And then the next one will be V3. Perfect. And then, as I said, this last part really doesn't need anything. These buttons also don't need anything. So we're going to first build the actual structure without the drop downs. So the drop downs we're going to put at the end. So the first thing that we're going to do is actually build this. So how is this going to look like? So if we were to go to Framer, I am going to first, with the type tool, type something. Let's call it logo, right? Let's even put it here. Let's do it all in the frame, on the canvas, I mean. So we have logo, we have, again, all in caps, releases, resources, we have company, we have pricing, we have the sign in and get started. Sign in and get started. Perfect. Now these texts kind of look smaller than what they're supposed to, than what they are on my screen here. So I'm gonna make these smaller. The logo I'm gonna actually make bigger. So right now they're all 16. Maybe we can decrease it to something like 14. for now. I don't even know how big it is here. Let's see if we can see. This is 12 pixels. Okay, so we can bring it down to 12. So we have it just like in this example, right? So 12. Good. And now let's bring these together. This is a stack. Obviously, as you can see, this stack is going to have a gap of around 20 pixels. Looks good. And so this stack needs to be not with 100%, but with fit the content. And let's give it a padding of about 20. Maybe we can see in the inspect tool how that padding is somewhere here. Doesn't really say. Okay, doesn't matter. Oh, well, maybe it's because I have to increase this. No, it doesn't say. Okay, doesn't matter. Let's just eyeball it. I would say it's about 20 pixels. And we can set a radius, let's say of around 20 as well. And we want this to have a fill of white. So, by the way, guys, this background is not white. It's like an off-white. And this is going to be white. So we can kind of tell the difference in the website. The Clay website has the same thing. Now for the stack, we can add a shadow, maybe like a nice realistic looking one. It's not so large, and maybe a little bit less, something like this. This looks good. We can make these not black, but something like 14, maybe 45-ish. And that's looking good. Okay, so we got these. And now, well, let's make these buttons too. So we're gonna have to put these in a stack. How does this look like here? So it has the same kind of padding as this one, right? So we're gonna make one component for this button with different variants. One variant is gonna be this variant, and one variant will be this one. So let's make the black one first. So the black one is just gonna have like this nice black background. So I'm going to add a stack, and then we're gonna make sure that the stack is fit content everywhere. And let's look for it. Here it is. Whoops, I took it out of its stack. Let's get the stack. Let's move the stack over here. Perfect. Make sure that the get started is still inside the stack. This is gonna be the set like this. Looks good for now. We need this to be white, and we need this to be black. And we need this stack to have a radius of around 8. And basically this is going to be our component. So we can right click, create component. We're going to call this button. And the button, okay, this is our button. Perfect. And we don't need tablet and phone for this one. We just need a hover here. So this is going to be the primary. We're not going to call it desktop. We're going to call it primary hover. And then we need another one called secondary. So this secondary one is going to be color black, no fill. And then we're going to need a hover. And then this one will have it will have a fill, but very, very light fill. Something like 5%, right? So this is not going to be called variant 2. This is going to be called variant secondary. Secondary, perfect. So we have our primary, our secondary, our primary hover will have like a lighter gray, something like this. And then what we can do is delete this, put this to the side, change the variant to secondary. And then what is this called again? Sign in, I believe, right? Oh yeah, we have to also do something. So this needs to have a variable so that we can edit the text outside of the component. So now if I go here, I can put sign in, enter, and we're good. And now let's put these together, stack them up, fit the content, move our stack to the right where it's supposed to be. And it's about 10 pixels, let's put it 20. And now we have something, good. We have the logo, we have this middle, and we have the buttons on the right. So I want to make this logo a little bit larger, maybe like this. And now what I want to do, I want to select the 3 areas and add a stack to this and call this stack navbar, right? So this navbar is going to look like this. It needs to be aligned space between, right? And I wouldn't call this navbar, I would call this content, and then put this inside of a, or actually we don't need it like that. We can call it navbar, but then we have to make this guy, this desktop, fit the content. So now it's gonna all look nice and fit here. This guy needs to be secondary, for example, okay. And for the navbar, we want there to be a type of padding. Or actually for this desktop, for example, we can add some padding. So we can add 60 on the right and left, something like this. And now for this, I'm going to set this to fill, and I'm going to set this to a maximum width of 1200. So it can't be wider than 1200. All right. So this is our navbar. And now that we have our navbar, I'm going to add an empty section underneath. And I want this empty section just to be there as an example. Make the opacity to 0, just so that we have something here. Perfect. And let me add some padding to this. Good. Now, all right, so now we have this particular section here. Now, what we can do is we can create a component of this section and start creating the actual, well, let me think about it. Should we create the component first, or should we make everything responsive first? That's what I'm still thinking about. Before I do that, let me just set the width here to fill. And yeah, set it at a fixed height, 600, perfect. So that it's, not overflowing everywhere. For the phone, let's set the padding, the frame to be less. And then for the phone, we obviously need a hamburger menu and not a, not this all these buttons, but a hamburger menu. I'm actually curious to see how it looks like here. So let me just go like this and take a screenshot and bring this over here to the right side. And okay, and then for everything so basically everything is going to be like that. Okay, just like in the, okay, I understand. All right, so let's just do this this section over here, which basically when we click on something, it will drop down a specific section with different things to choose from, right? And I actually can make another variant of this button that matches this. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to create another variant called nav item. And this will be not filled. There will be no padding. And this will be 12 pixels, good. Color would be something lighter. B1C, I would say 26, yeah. And then I select this, hover, and it will be black. Oops, not that fill, sorry. This will be black. So this is going to be called nav item. So I'm going to get this and I'm going to put this outside and then 1 second, drag this in here. So let me just copy this so I don't lose what's inside. So releases. So we got releases, caps locks, releases, let's delete this. Releases, resources, sources, company pricing. And pricing. Okay, now these have to be set to that third variant called nav item, and it's going to collapse because we removed the padding, and we can just delete this stack. So if I were to go press play, we can see that there is a light hover effect. Maybe it's not too much, so we can go ahead and we come here and edit the color. I want to kind of see how it looks like. Okay, I mean, it works here, but it's very, very light. So that's good. Okay. So we got that. We still got the shadow. Maybe we can add another shadow to this. When I actually see that we have something here, maybe we can add some padding to this and remove the padding at the top of here. That would be wiser, I would say. And so let me just see how this would look like if we added another shadow, realistic, and made this, a little bit lighter. So we had like 2 shadows. Might look cool. Okay. So we got this. Now we can make this into a stack. So this is going to be called our middle section. And we can right click, create component, create. And then for this, basically what we want to do here is we want to set different variants based off of the different selections. So whenever releases is clicked, then you would see the releases drop down, right? Whenever resources is clicked, then you'd see the resources drop down, and so on and so forth. Actually, going back to the Clay website, you can see that it's not with clicks, it's with hover. I'm not clicking anything, I'm just hovering. And with the hover, so if I hover over releases, then it goes to this. If I hover over resources, then it goes to this company like this. So, and then pricing, it goes back to the normal state, right? So this is kind of the flow so that we can understand. So let's go back to Framer. I want to take these different options and yeah, I'll take this, cut it, and go into here, paste it in here, and then I'm going to try to see how I do this. So this is going to be like I'm going to call this main variant, and we're going to have different sections. So this would be called, I guess, each variant will be I'm just trying to understand how we do this. I don't think it's going to be hover animations, because if I just hover over this, then it's going to happen. So I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's just going to be like this button interaction, transition, not on click, but something else. New event. New transition. I want it to be like a hover. So how are we going to do this? I'm trying to think about how we properly do this one. So I just noticed something. If I have a component, right, like let's say button, and I want to add a specific interaction, let's say I want to add a new transition, I can only select a click. So on the click, then something happens, but I don't want that. I want to unhover, right? So what we can do is we can use a text instead of a component like this. I would put this text, and then I come here and I set a new transition, mouse enter. Once that would happen, then surely enough it works. But yeah, this is something that I learned today using Framer. So I'm just gonna get these, bring them up here, and I'm gonna again create my content. So I'm gonna put fit content, releases, resources, company, pricing. And actually, before I duplicate everything, let's just make sure that everything is fine in terms of size. 12. We want this to be like a little bit grayer, like this. So we got this. Let's just duplicate this. It's going to be selector. So this is going to be resources, company, pricing. Perfect. And now I can delete these. And we don't really need this component, so we can just go like this. And I go back here. And now we can start creating the different variants. So what I'm doing now is I have this main component over here. Then I duplicated it 3-4 times for each selector. So this one is going to be called releases. This one is going to be called resources. This one is going to be called company. So let's just write company over here. And then this final one is going to be called pricing. So we have releases, resources, company, and pricing. And the main. So the main is going to stay like this. The design is basically done. But for each one, we're going to basically update the design a bit. For pricing, we know that whenever someone hovers over it, then the pricing turns into black. We're actually going to do that. So I'm going to actually make these texts a little bit grayer than what they are. And then so we can really see when someone is selecting this one. So now this is when it comes, whenever the selector, whenever the mouse enters, delay 0, transition once into pricing. And then whenever let's go back here, whenever the mouse leaves, transition once to main. So let's go back home and let's test this out. That's how we would do it. That's another way of, now we have to do it for these guys over here. So let's just go ahead and do that. So let's go back to our component, and we're going to start building now. So we got this first one for releases. And for releases, we're going to have to create this new, component. I mean, we're going to use it in our button component, but we have to create a new variant. And then we have to create this specific Twitter integration component, right? And it's easy. Let's just do it really quickly. So in our button component, let's just do this one. It's kind of the same size. Let's just create a new one. And we're going to remove this and remove the padding. We don't need the padding. And we have the content set to variable. Good. So this is going to start off black and then orange. So, and then the orange is going to have like an icon. So we can add an icon like this and set a feather icon. Doesn't really matter. And we can put arrow right and decrease that. Put it over here inside. Make our stack go this way. Let this go like this. We might want to change the color of this particular one to be orange. And we can copy this and set a hover state. Set this to orange. And this, for example, will be set to no. And then here it will be set to yes. Oh, not mirrored, sorry. Yes, visible. So we got this covered right now. And what we want to do is when I get this, go back here and change this to variant 3, which we will be calling nav pointer, I don't know. You can call it whatever you want. And I'm going to call this integrations. Boom. All right, perfect. We have our integrations. If I were to, I don't know, put this here, it would do this little orange animation, which is exactly what we want. And another thing is that it starts off black and not white. So let's make this text the color black. Let's go back to this middle thing, and then we want a little bit of, we want some text underneath. We can add some text. Let's just do this. Let's remove this variant, and let's just write a little dummy text, connect all your favorite tools. And we want to make this smaller, I would say, because right now it should be 12. Yeah, it's still pretty small, but let's make it even smaller, like in this example that we have. And then we want to just make a stack. We want to create a stack based off of both of these guys over here. So we have a stack. We're going to make it like this. We're going to make it, yeah, about maybe 2 pixels. Fit content, remove this. And we're going to duplicate this a few times, but 4 times, I believe. Yeah, put this over here. And to make my life easier, I'm just going to duplicate it like this. Put it underneath each other. All right, so we got this stack over here. Now we got to make this. So this consists of a frame. It's a stack, so let's just draw it out like this. So we have this, and then we're going to have an image. So this is going to be a stack. We're going to put an image inside of this. This image is going to have a image look like this. This is going to be set, the width is going to be set to fill. And what we need is also, we need some text. So if we go back here, this text is going to highlight. So we want this to be a smaller version, right? So let's go back to Framer. Let's go to our button again, and we're going to have to make a small nav point. So small nav point. And this will be the same exact thing, but 8 pixels. And we're going to get this, and we're going to turn this into the small guy, and this is going to be called Twitter integration update, right? Or our integration update. Boom. And what we can do is set the same text underneath. So go back here, get this text, copy it, put it underneath this. Let's put like October 2nd, 2025. And let's put this into its own stack. Left. Let's put 2, and let's set this to fit and fit, and remove that over here. And now what we can do is we can put this underneath. So we have a stack with an image, a stack of this, and this is the main stack. The image actually doesn't really need a stack, in my opinion. This should be fit content, and this should be fill, and there should be no gap, but this should have a nice padding like this, if I'm correct. And then we have a nice little like rounded edge with a border. So let's do that as well. So we have a nice rounded edge over here. Boom, border like this, but much softer. Soft little border, perfect. And yeah, now what we can do is we can just get this. Well, we can get this, add stack to it. Let's set fit content, fit content. Let's increase the, yeah, that seems about right. Let's remove the fill, and let's put this into its own stack. And let's make this space between. And what we want to do is we want to actually combine these two stacks, right? This is going to be the tricky thing, as you might think, but not really. It's possible. So what we can say is we can add this into a stack, put this to fit content, and this stack is going to be called top, and this is going to be called bottom. And this releases will have to look like this, and this will have to go underneath. And boom, we have a nice little version of how this can look like. And what we can do is we can increase the width a little bit to be around, let's say, this size. Oh, and I have to fix this as well. Let's just make sure that everything is fit content. Perfect. Let's just add like a nice little, dummy image. I want to try this one. I've never seen it. Framagen. Oh, I don't want to log in. So let's just do something like this. Right. So we have our nice lady laying on the water, looking good. And so this is going to be the resources one. And let's actually increase the gap a little bit. I don't like that it's so small, the gap everywhere. Let's increase the gap. Okay, 20 is good. 20 is good, 20 is good. And what we want is that for releases, this is going to be releases is going to be black. And now, whenever someone were to, let's remove these set variant things. If someone were to select or to enter their mouse here, mouse enter, it sets the variant to releases. And then what we can do here is that we can make this fill. And we can make each one of these also fill. Maybe not. It doesn't really matter. So what we can do is here, mouse leave main. So what we can do now is we can go here, check to see how that works. And we have this looking like this, but actually it has to, I have to be able to click on these different options, right? And that's not really working well. And these logos are kind of glitching around everywhere. That's weird. So let's make sure that this is all working fine. I believe that the problem with this is that they're all in the same stack. I might be wrong. No, that doesn't make any sense. It should be working. So maybe this has to be at an absolute position. Okay, this is a challenging one, my friends, but we'll make it happen. So let's remove this specific one, and once the user gets their mouse released from this one, mouse leave, then it takes them to variant main. So we can try again, and now I can select the different things. And it seems to work. It's still not perfect, but it's working. Okay. Let me put it like this. Maybe something like this would work. Okay, now it seems to work better. Okay. Looking good, looking good. All right. Just testing some different things. It has nothing to do with this wrap. Yeah, let's just keep it like this for now. Okay, now I want to see why this is happening with this. Why is it turning like white before it turns orange? Let's go here. Let's click on our thing here, and let's see what the problem is. Ah, it turns like white, you see? Why is that? It's strange because there's no style. But it somehow does it. Oh, and I forgot to do this. So hover, and then it turns into that nice little orange that we got here. Let me see if this does the little, okay, it also turns white and then orange. Maybe it has something to do with this. Maybe it's because this main one is white. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to set this as a style. Call it orange. And I'm going to copy this, delete this, and I'm going to set a new component. Oh. I'll go back here and let me press paste. Can I do that? So add stack, remove, fit. So we're all learning here. I'm gonna just do a new component, quick component pointer. And what I'm gonna do is that for the other one, for the button, I'm gonna delete the those other variants. So I'm just going to press hover, give this a content, plain text, boom, set this to visible null, then set this one to visible yes, set this to black, set this one to orange, and then this is going to be called the main one, and this one is going to be called secondary, or small if you want to be mean to it. 8 hover is going to be orange, boom. And now what we can do is we can basically replace it everywhere. Get started. Okay, I'm just going to replace it like this. We might want to make sure that this is set to fit content, and the width can be set to like fill, and then we can make the border, the gap higher. I don't know. Let's see what's the best. Maybe fix content and then something like this. Yeah, okay. And then this one will be, just move this and put it in here. Our integration update. Our integration update. And then we can go ahead back home and see. Now it's like a nice little style here. Perfect. This one is even up, going to need that too, which is great. Okay, and so that was our releases one. It's still not ready. I want to go ahead and make sure that everything is looking good at the very end. Now we have this one, so it's going to be resources. Let's first things first, make this black. And I want to go back here and, okay, so we're going to use the same components with this, like this. These have these different arrows, but I don't want to spend so much time on that. We're going to use just the same ones. You know how to do it if you followed this video already. Just make a new component with that arrow, that other way. And what I can do is I can delete these two and go like this and delete this guy over here, make this go fill, and maybe turn it into a grid. And the width should be set to fit content. Let me just see if that's, no, okay. Why is it, okay, there we go, fill, boom. So we have our different things here. Great. Now, what we want to do is we want to add a frame, and we want to call this resources. Resources. Boom. Now we want to, okay, this is going to be an interesting one because this is going to be like the image hover, right? So we want to make like a nice component that when we hover over this, the image kind of changes and the text remains, like it also stays with this cool hover effect, right? So by the way, why is it so separate? Let's decrease the size. So it's about 4 pixels. So it looks nicer and not so far away. Perfect. Good. And what we can do is we can make this, put this here with this guy. Let's give this an image. The image is going to be smaller, so let's make it like 30 pixels. Yeah. Put it here. Put these two into its own stack. make this stack, this is going to be like the box stack, and this is going to be the text, and then this box stack is going to look like this, and it's going to be fit content, and it's going to, this particular one is also going to be fit content, and it's going to be left align, and the pointer will be on the top, and this gap will be set to 2, and this box will be set to the middle. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to put this image into its own stack as well that fits the content automatically, but has a padding of around 10 pixels. But the image is going to be smaller. Well, not so small, and the padding won't be so much. It would be kind of like 4. Just to show you guys this effect. So we have our tools. All right, good. So this is our box. This is going to be our new component. We can delete all of these other ones. And what I want to do is I want to make this into its own component. So let's right click, and we should be able to create a component somehow, I guess. Box, right click, create component. Okay, good. Box. And so the main is going to look empty, and then in the hover, this is going to have a nice hover effect, and this one will be let's give this a nice fill of like black, but 5%. So if I were to, put this box in here and duplicate this 4 times and make this fit the content, this fill. Why is this all not working? Something's wrong with the width of this grid or of this bottom. And we can just make sure that this fills up fit content. Sorry, not fit content fixed. Okay, we can set it to fixed, why not? Maybe it's because this is set to fixed. Okay, that's looking good. All right, now I want to do this. I want to make this the same color as this. So 6. Let's put this to 6. Let's put this to black. And whenever someone new transition, right? Yeah, new transition, mouse enter, set variant to releases, to resources. Yeah. And then whenever the mouse leaves set to main. So let's go back here and see how that looks like. So as you can see, all of these different hover effects are happening. So the image is basically getting like a little bit darker. That's exactly what we wanted. That looks really cool. So now for the company one, how does that look like? So for the company one, it's going to look like this. We have this over here. And let's just, I want to look, if we, the pricing, okay. Okay, I would need to also, in this releases one, add a mouse enter set to releases. So I want to see how that looks like. There's one missing somehow. Okay, that was strange, but we fix it. All right, now what we want to do is this other one, this one up here. Let's just bring down the screenshot. And we have the company. So company, we have the image, and then we have these things on the right. So we can basically just use this, and we'll just call it company, and let's leave this pricing over here. This will be set back to 6. Company will be set to black. We want to basically do the switch around, the switcheroo between the different stacks here. Boom. We want this gap to be way less, but we want the bottom to be more like this. And we want to delete this and make this one image that has a height set to fill, height set to fill, and width set to fill. So now what we can do is we can go back here and make sure that this is a little bit like this. We can even make sure that this, maybe this has a padding on the right. And there's not 4, but 3 of these stacks. Looks kind of something like that. That's good. Maybe increase the size a bit, decrease the gap, something like that. Whatever works. So this selector is going to be mouse enter, set to releases. This one, mouse enter, set to resources. This one is already done. This one's going to pricing. This one is going to company. So interactions, new transitions, mouse enter, set to company. And this one as well, we can do it with the company. Boom. Interactions, new transition, on mouse enter, set to company. And we might want to do the same over here. Releases, resources, new transition, mouse enter. You guessed it, company. Now if we go back to the preview, what we can see here is this. We have a nice, a few options that we can select. We have this resources with these different images that gets basically highlighted, just like in our example. If we were to hover over the pricing, it's just a black, and then the company would basically be on the other side of what the releases was, right? So it's a nice little transition everywhere. And basically that's pretty much it for the light version. If you want to make a dark version out of this, if you want to make it here and let's say bring it over here and bring it to the dark mode, what you would have to do is basically copy this particular, duplicate this component. We have middle 2 now. We want to call it middle dark. And what we can do is just flip everything, make sure that it's not, white. Make sure that it's just dark, and then it'll be done after that. And so at the very end, when you have the light and dark mode, it should look something like this, where you have your releases. And as you can see, I changed the cursor so that it looks better like this. It's actually something selectable. And then we have these different selectors here then we have, for example, resources where you can see how the image is actually changing. Pricing, nothing happens. Back to company. You can see it going like this. And then if we go back and to our home, to our light mode, sorry, we have our releases doing the same thing. And then we have our resources doing the same thing. Pricing, company, all looking good. So yeah, you can download this project in the link below if this is something interesting for you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed this build. It was pretty long today, but it's a good practice when learning Framer. So thank you guys so much for your time today. Love you guys for watching this and for supporting me always. If you have any questions or comments or feedback, please drop them down in the comments below. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.